There are fewer hours in the day. I can't be the only one who felt this. I used to do a large number of work tasks per day. Now I'm doing one, then I take a short break and I don't care, and then I notice that it's almost nighttime. It seems to me that time does not fly faster. It just disappears somewhere. Just where? Morning came very quickly. On the other hand, in summer, the nights are indeed shorter, but in my opinion, it became much shorter than in previous summers. The solar system is approaching the event horizon of a black hole, hence the warp of time. But quantum processes work outside of time, and in our brains too. This is why such artifacts arise in consciousness. Time flows as before, it's just that space-time is greatly curved. Perhaps the effect of disappearance of time will intensify, and people will start shaking that they don't have time to do anything at all. As soon as I woke up, I need to go to bed. There is, of course, another theory that the density of information entering the brain has increased greatly, but the clock frequency of processing it has not changed, and it is enough to quit TikTok and dvach for a couple of days, and the minutes will drag on again, and by the time the next day comes, you will be bored as hell. But, in my opinion, this is bullshit and not a theory. Time is not a constant. The planet was spun up. It rotates faster, but so that the normies don't panic. Everything was adjusted for them to fit their usual 24 hours. In fact, I don't know how many hours from 50 years ago are in the current day. Perhaps 20. I wouldn't be surprised if it is 16. Since the planet rotates faster, hence global warming and the melting of the poles, the speed is higher and more energy is released. This bullshit is typical of the end times and is handled the same way for each cycle. Muslims say this directly. A year will be like a month like a week like a day like an hour like enough time to kindle a fire. This is happening here and now, while the normies are doing their traditional shit and meowing something about age, saying, it has always been like this. Oh, fuck you. It's called aging of the brain and consciousness. Have you ever fucking heard the phrase from old people that life flies by quickly? And this is always the case when you touch on this topic. In general, it's like everyone has a standard training manual, and I don't even know if it's all really the agents sitting there blocking it, or if people just don't want to acknowledge reality, and which is worse. But the thesis is always something like this. You sit on the internet a lot and absorb too much content. It's just that the sense of time accelerates with age. You are just lazy and do not do anything. You just didn't notice before. In short, anything to explain that you are the fool and that you should not trust your feelings. And if you trust your feelings, then it is your fault that they changed. Because I spent a lot of time on my smartphone, /wanking, /shit, etc. Typical gaslighting, an attempt to make you feel guilty, wrong, and not trust yourself. In previous threads on this topic, Anons also noted that IRL people are especially eager when you raise this issue with them. Therefore, I don't even start such conversations with anyone anymore, because I won't hear anything but denial and accusations that this is not objective, and I'm just making it up. I also try to somehow subject this to a truly critical assessment. Maybe it's true, I'm mistaken. But feeling that time has accelerated is like, I don't know, noticing that you have grown 15 centimeters. Anyone can tell you that you have always been like this, and you can even believe it and convince yourself of it. But this will not change the fact that you have grown up, and your sincere feeling will remain with you. And if you remove doubts and know that this is really so, then firstly, no one will be able to convince you of this. And secondly, it will become easier for you, because if you don't trust yourself, then why can you trust anyone at all? But wait, how can you check that it was the planet that was promoted? Was it not quantum processes that accelerated? I can take a picture of the sun at conventional time, then take a picture again at the same time, calculate the shift of the day, and it turns out that plus minus 24 hours have passed, taking into account the error and the fact that in fact, ours is not quite 24 hour. Or this thing, I know that I have to go 1800 kilometers from home to one place. I go there almost every year, and I know that I always need 2 stops to sleep at the same time. plus minus a couple hours. In theory, if everything has sped up, I should be late and arrive later. But if you believe in your hypothesis, in theory, I should be driving along the M11 and then not going 130, as I always do, but already 250 plus. But this is impossible. Well, my car can't drive like that, and I myself am driving at higher speeds, like 180. I'm freaking out, and I'm afraid to die. So there is something different here. But yes, I myself seem to feel that time has accelerated, but I just can't debug it and find obvious patterns with which to work. I was about to write a profile comment, but now I'm thinking about it. I only sit on the internet before going to bed and on business. I'm not distracted enough. I turn off my phone during the day so as to not interfere. I plan my day by the hour, but in the end, I do not have time to get shit done. You are just a fucking internet addict. I spend from 5 a.m. to 12 o'clock only at work and still have time to eat and read a book for an hour. Is there a conspiracy? Most likely no. Of course, this is the fault of the corporations that created the internet for you and created cheap food for you. You just burn out as a human being with dopamine. Just zero. You eat store-bought food, and besides, you are on the internet, probably on some social networks, like Telegram or where the degenerate Zoomers are now sitting. Just don't surf the internet, and that is it. Work hard and read books. There will be a lot of time. Look, I've been an internet addict for over 16 years, but wow, time flies faster with the same actions. For example, farming herbs or ore, carrying instances with a tank. In the end, even leveling up, which was always difficult on quests, is now noticeably easier. Moreover, over the past 3 to 4 years, this has accelerated 2 to 3 times than I noticed 5 to 6 years ago, when I already started to notice that something was wrong. I've been playing since like 2007. The same applies to CAPTCHA or stupidly sitting on YouTube, or waiting for the next week for something to happen, which also flies by 3 times faster than it was 5 years ago, with the exact same actions. Winter, which makes me wildly depressed, somehow flies by quickly and unnoticed, and I haven't even had the time to taste summer yet, and it's already July. I don't remember May at all. Go dumber then, don't whine, because corporations have turned you into a stupid animal. You are already a stupid animal without life, including personal life. Stupid sitting on YouTube. You are a stupid beast, that is all. Eating like shit, plus addictions, and that is the result. Instead of your YouTube, go wash the dishes or sweep the floor. See how time goes by. You'll have to wait an hour. Or open a book. Start reading. See how your hour passes, and then look at your watch. Only 5 minutes will pass, and you'll have an hour to read. But you can continue to destroy yourself. Corporations only benefit from such infantile fuckers. You'll get more loans, if you haven't already. Maybe because back then, in 2007, you didn't have the experience of experiencing such long periods of time. In childhood, a week goes by for a very long time. There are many events, and each one was perceived as unique. Your brain is still developing, and time can be perceived completely differently. It remains in your memory, and now, after 30, you already have experiences of experiencing waiting for long periods. Do you know what it's like to live 5 years and wait for 3 years? I don't know if there are Anons here over 50 or 60. It would be interesting to know their opinion. Is there any difference from 30 and 50 plus? Another topic is to keep a diary. Just force yourself to keep it, for this is extremely important for understanding how time is perceived. I'm sure none of you are able to even remember what happened on April 21st, 2014. If there wasn't something worthwhile there, then the memory will simply be erased, and you will never remember this day. But if you write down, at a minimum, your ideas, feelings, events, and actions for the day, then looking at very old notes, you will be shocked by the fact that it was as if another person wrote it. Everything that had meaning and significance for you looks different in retrospect. And for those who don't understand why time passes by so quickly, I advise you to stick to time management. Make notes in Google Calendar for every hour or large intervals. For example, they started playing games at 12 and finished at 2. Then they noted it on the calendar. They played game, etc. I think the whole effect of quickly living through time is based only on the fact that we forget events. You remember, and there are memories at the level of getting out of bed, dick, and the end of the day. But what happened between the dick, who knows? It's enough to quit TikTok and dvach for a couple days. Complete bullshit. I tested it. Going out not even for a couple of days, but for a year or more. Does not work. You still spin like a squirrel in a wheel, like work, store, home, gym. And even if you cut some parts, you still don't have enough time. The most interesting thing is that these theses are complete bullshit. You literally don't have enough time to do normal things. About 3 or 4 years ago, I came home for lunch, could make myself something to eat from what was in the refrigerator, eat, go take a shit, and had another 10 to 15 minutes to sleep and jerk off. Now fucking, I buy something to eat on the way, come home, eat, and fuck off back to work. I end up fucking late. What does the perception of time or aging have to do with it? In 3 years, he turned into a grandfather. Yeah, and these bots write the same thing over and over again. These threads are always filled with stupid posts. You tell them one thing, they talk about something else. Actually, the shutter has arrived. The point is, however, that when you do the same thing year after year, you can understand what has changed. And if earlier, for example, after work I had time to train, watch a TV series, play, cook food, and sometimes also do cleaning. But now 10 years have passed, and I'm just in a laver at the end of the day, and it's good if I just have the time to eat and wash. Although the routes remain the same, where does the time go? Who the hell knows? Well, okay, now it is Sunday evening, I'm sitting on the wood, but everyday life is everyday life. Where is my time? I'm passing by and on. It definitely doesn't work with books. On the contrary, you think you've been reading for 2 or 3 hours, but it turns out it's already evening, and you've been stuck all this time. Yes, that's the funny thing. It doesn't matter whether I was crazy about science fiction before or now, and just as I could get stuck before, I still am now. The amount requested remains the same, but there is still a feeling of acceleration. I already wrote this post here. There is nothing to cling to. All my processes that I encounter objectively take the same amount of time as before. But subjectively, the time has become less, as if I don't have time to fit into something. It is quite possible that this is a quantum state of the observer type. Well, that is, while you are tracking the process, it takes time as before, and when you don't keep track, he immediately hops and eats more. Logical. I need to sit and twirl this thing. Speed, meters per second. If the distance is constant, and time has changed, then the speed should increase, and in the same proportion. If time is accelerated by 30%, and at the same time, you spend the same time, then your speed should increase by 30%. Alternatively, I can assume that this is so, and you are driving 130 instead of 100 today, not paying attention to the fact that by speeding up, for some reason you waste the same time. This is if time is accelerated by 30%, and there are 16 previous hours in the current day. What if 20? That's a 20% difference, and it is not that noticeable, but we will still need to find some other explanation related to the acceleration of the planet's rotation. The Earth is spinning faster. This takes less time, but it is adjusted to the usual 24 hours. How to check this? Everything electronic goes to hell because it is adjusted by software, and there is no trust in it. What to use? Mechanics? Like my father's good old watch, which he wore in his ass, and which today must be so fucking behind. What other options are there? The fact that everything has accelerated, and our reality is on fast forward. We don't seem to notice it, including our squeaky voices, because the adjustment is slow enough, and we adapt to this transformation without paying attention to the changes. No, there is something else here. Time has sped up 100%. I have no illusions or doubts about this. For example, 6 months have already passed, and the New Year seems to have happened quite recently. The years fly by. Just another cycle. Spring, summer, autumn, winter, and then the next, and it's unclear how many of them have already passed. For the last 6 years, it's been a bit of a wild thing. On the one hand, I remember everything perfectly, and for me it was like yesterday. But sometimes you think about it, and it turns out that 6 years have passed. 6 years old. In general, time has sped up. The sun still rises and sets, but it happens faster. I cannot find any other explanation other than the fact that the planet accelerated its waxing. For some reason, the laws of physics you talk about stop working. On the one hand, this is very strange, but on the other hand, what do we know about physics? If in our corner there is a force capable of spinning the planet, this means that there is some other quantity that we do not take into account. This means that the formula V equals S over T is not entirely correct, and there is some other variable in it. In any case, everything that is happening today is not some kind of mysticism, but what a fucking high-tech process, which includes algorithms and technologies that are kept in the strictest confidence all the way. They are taken out from the mezzanine at the point of the end of times and used with maximum efficiency. And they don't fail. As always, with their help, a certain ritual is carried out, bringing the next civilization to the sacrificial altar, where it dies so that something new can arise, and which is worked out according to the same algorithms as all of the previous ones. And in this scheme, the acceleration of time is something unchanged. They do the same thing every time, maybe with some nuances, but there is something constant that no reboot can do without. Time has been sped up. It's not even like that here. If the time is constant, then we simply adjusted it to fit the required values. There is no way to hide the passage of time, and its most obvious transformation is observed in the seconds. They run, and so fast that you can't keep up with them. Once upon a time, they could be counted through hundreds of 121, 122, etc. Today it's just amazing at the speed of their running. We are at the end of times, this is clear. We are on the verge of something of truly biblical proportions. Algorithms and technologies have been extracted and applied to match the future events, which will be immediately removed to the mezzanine, and everyone who participated in their implementation will go to their forefathers as necessary witnesses to one of the main secrets of madness taking place here. Something is coming, majestic, large-scale, and terrible. Everyone who prepares this performance does not feel any remorse or fear, because they are dedicated to the future and are confident that they are doomed to success. Realizing what and with whom they are participating in their pranks, they do not have even a shadow of a doubt that their crimes will remain 100% unpunished. And this is some kind of fucking bullshit. Psychopaths create a cruel game, laying the scaffold for the entire civilization, and humanity looks at this preparation with complete indifference, traditionally performing everything is in order. It has always been like this. Fuck. Well, I'm 33 years old. I have a family and a son. I work a lot, occasionally sit on dvach. There are no social networks, and time flies like crazy. I decided to remember the guitar here. I've been playing it all my life. I sat down, and didn't notice how the day flew by. Previously, I had time to play, take a walk, and meet with friends. They just poison you with sedatives and poisons, so you become more inhibited. It seems that time flies faster. Yes, we were slowed down. Drug addicts, especially gaming addicts, all say that, just like the dick leaving the casino before he stood for hours with a one-armed bandit. But now he woke up and doesn't remember how he even approached him, although a day may pass. You're a drug addict, that's all. Bad food with sugar, gambling addiction of all stripes, and internet addiction. So you're a drunk, a drug addict, including a gaming addict and some other kind, and you eat shit. This makes you crap and burns out your dopamine. Knowing that you were sitting here in the schizophrenia section, it's no wonder. I would take the child away from you altogether. The same psychopath will grow up. What social networks are you not on? Probably from morning to evening on your Telegram, YouTube, and Sucker. You are all bastards with fried receptors. That is all. This is still close to the truth. And then fucking quantum fucking holes are black. You are just schizophrenics, The air is fucked. Your stomach is fucked. The water is fucked. You eat literal carbohydrate sugar feces, sit on strange alcohol, and other drugs like cigarettes or whatever you smoke. And this is not counting your addictions to your TV and your bullies, degenerates as they are. They don't even need to spray anything. They act directly for the imposition of a lifestyle. I ordered pizza, and it's like I've already killed the hormones. The moron is always on energy drinks and sweet water and other shit that you eat there. Boil yourself some barley and eat. At least restore your food receptors. You're so funny. You have been told that everything is your own fault. You try little. You study little. You do something wrong. As a result, you live in a system of self-restraint and a lack of freedom. And you are eager for people who are not ready to blame themselves for everything and notice that this something is wrong with the world. Pay attention. Blaming yourself for everything and taking responsibility are two different things. As a child, your mother yelled at you for eating sweets. Your dad hit you with his belt when he caught you masturbating, and your teacher scolded you when you didn't study well. Now you have the triggers. I will be bad, and they will scold me if I do something wrong. And you scold yourself. For yourself, you have found the truth to be obedient, and the system is happy with such masochists who then organize a cult of dominance and self-restraint, making the meaning of life from the balance of dopamine. Aren't you feeling creepy about yourself? Better go eat some chocolate and drink some herbal tea. Calm your nerves. I sincerely wish you to stop torturing yourself like this and start living in pleasure. You don't have to beat yourself up if you eat a piece of fried chicken. And if you stop reproaching yourself, then you will stop being nervous. You will be healthier than if you live in such stress all the time. Degenerate. I'm eating stewed wild grouse right now. I don't give a fuck about your industrial chicken. They told you that you live like shit. That is why you're in shit. That's why you're a schizophrenic with schizophrenic thoughts. That's why time flies quickly for you. You are a victim of the system and corporations. Even your style of communication and your phrases are not even yours. You simply borrowed them from the subculture. Something like, you're eager. I can't imagine an adult expressing themselves like that. You are so infantile, an incel, and a schmuck. A victim of a system who belongs in a madhouse. I wouldn't be surprised if you've already been there more than once. If you look retrospectively into the past, you can see how the social was reflected in the cultural. How the appearance of the steam engine, dynamite, poisonous combat gases, electronics, semiconductors, spaceflight, and the advent of computers was reflected in creativity. Well, you understand and on. If you don't believe it, just Google the appearance of famous works and correlate it with the appearance of scientific and technical discoveries. It is not difficult. Years pass after 2007. Nothing happens, and then Hollywood rolls out Interstellar. The plot is fucked up, but the rapper is completely unexpected. When I saw it, I immediately thought, what the fuck is this guy jumping into a black hole to see his dying old daughter? What a fucking idiot. And then there are all sorts of stories about the scientific nature of the bullshit. Well, if it's not crazy, and you can determine by indirect signs what the fuck is going on, it is enough to have a little analytical thinking and curiosity. Time really accelerated 15 to 17 years ago. Now even children, 7 to 8 years old, see that the day is over very quickly. Well, the most fucking marker of changes in society is culture in terms of cinema, literature, painting, and other arts. Anyone who was of conscious age in 2007 remembers this year. This is the last happy year of humanity. Since 2008, all sorts of bad things started happening all over the world. Time has also accelerated in the same year. Music has become crap. Movies suck. Literature is complete trash. Why? There have been studies, for example, on the topic that, due to early use of smartphones, their neural connections are formed differently. It's not bad, but it is literally different. For example, it's difficult for them to read or even watch something for longer than 5 minutes, and they lose attention. Plus the increase in all kinds of ADHD and other mental problems. It's all about the parents' genetics and the general ecology and new approaches to the perception of reality during the formation of personality. Well, in general, you can really see it from communicating with them. They get angry very quickly, have little resistance to stress, and so on. In 2008, a new large cycle began, which is probably why time has moved on. The fact that time flows differently than in the past can be seen from the frequency of release of music albums by popular groups. In the 60s, they released an album every year, or even 2 albums. Now with all the development of technology and the simplification of mass music, they are released once every 2 years or less. Although this affects profits, the same thing with the frequency of film releases, and even for young directors. This cannot be attributed to the fact that they are old, tired, and deflated. In personal life, only the blind would not notice this. Now, in order to live something similar to the old 24 hours in a day, you need to sleep for 6 hours and rush around on errands with a timer, otherwise you won't have time. As for time, nowadays, hypnosis can take place through smartphones and simply via the internet. Regular 25 frame and so on. All output is known as is. There are already neural networks that know what you want to say. All this has been used for a long time. For those who like, I don't sit on social networks. You capture here, and you've already lost an hour or 2, even if you were just reading. Everything that is given to you is a result of hypnosis. This is not specific to a person, but in general. You are crazy, and that is it. During this process, time accelerates. It doesn't work on everyone, but on those who it works on, people who are weak in spirit and already have broken nerves. Such people will become maniacs, or just end badly, or something else. People are really getting burned out. Even your bloggers, they end badly. In reality, they are even more burned out. They were knitting some kind of deer. He had a pigsty at home, and another guy of yours also came out of the window, and there would be dozens of attention whores alone. Plus, and all of these are scorched people. Just on the flow, this is how MK Ultra works. If you feel that time has sped up, it means something really fucked up happened to you. These could be random events, some kind of programming via the phone or the internet, even a chance meeting, fright, a panic attack, even a trip to the doctor. In general, beware of doctors and any people in scrubs, anything. So the torpedo is launched, and that is it. It will only get worse. Therefore, I advise you to specifically look for a psychotherapist and do regressive hypnosis and shoot at the moment you are screwed. Everything is so. Summer has just begun, and June is already ending. I remember how slowly the second hand of the clock moved in childhood, and even 10 years ago, but now it's fucking fast. Time has started to fly like crazy, and it's not because you were growing up. It's really flying, and it's not because of gadgets either. The power was recently turned off. I was without light all day. It was boring, but the time flew by quickly. It feels like in the current hour, there are 30 real minutes that there were before, and people also start to look younger. Someone is 25, but they look 16, because they are actually 16. A guy is 40. He looks 25 to 30 because he has so much scientific knowledge. Of course they will say that I am crazy, but adequate people will think past age 45. Look how the bots are blocking. As soon as you notice that time has passed quickly, someone immediately comes out with their theories about gadgets, aging, starts to be rude to everyone, and brings maximum chaos into the thread, so that people feel uncomfortable discussing and communicating about it. They do not carry the seed of doubt. They try to immediately cause negativity. This is done for only one purpose, not so that a person would begin to doubt and understand better, but so that the person would leave the thread, consider himself stupid, and in general, he is to blame for everything, and start thinking all about it. The very concept of this board was introduced by the FBI back in the United States during the Shaggy years. Well, good luck. You start to believe in inconvenient theories, but you are immediately branded a moron, and for the whole world, you are an undesirable person. I have an explanation for this. Firstly, before, the flow of information and news was incomparably smaller. The conditional peasant lived without bothering himself, received news only from his village, city, maximum country, like, we were attacked, and sometimes such news reached them very late. Then, as radio, television, and newspapers appeared, everything was also mainly limited to the scale of the country, and very selective news from other countries. There was good news. Now there is a continuous flow of news from all countries, from all the remote corners of the world. In the village, the lower assholes dismembered the family and killed them. The house was blown up. A maniac is operating big dicks in the city. The good news is gone. It does not generate clicks. They almost show bloody violence on TV, albeit blurred. There is bloody violence on the internet. How can you not go crazy here? Secondly, people previously did not know how other people lived until there were televisions. No one wondered what it was like in other countries, and even if they did, only rich travelers could check. Then they saw what others had in movies and TV series, and even here, looking at such an artificial picture, burning began. Now people see the life of ordinary people from other countries. You can use Google Maps. Travel has become more accessible, and then, when they see their reality, and their life is better, and this puts pressure on the psyche. However, this is just my explanation. People disassociate. Whole chunks of memory disappear, and therefore time seems to flow faster. Again, fucked up with air, food and water. It's unclear how it influences there.